Maggie, it was a great weekend. Great divisional round weekend of the NFL playoffs. Doubleheader Saturday, doubleheader Sunday. And, a lot to get into and analyze, break down. Carl Banks will join us a little later on in the program. We'll get into a little baseball. Nick Swisher, former Yankee, former White Sox. He'll join us a little later on in the program as well. But, yesterday, I did feel it's tough when you're watching a player who and his arm's been shot for a while here. But watching Drew Brees throw the football in the second half yesterday for the New Orleans Saints or throughout the course of the game, and he's had an unbelievable career, Hall of Famer, won a Super Bowl, has been great in the community down there in New Orleans. We know all the stories and, could have went to Miami, ended up going to New Orleans. That was the decision by Nick Saban, the shoulder injury when he was a member of the San Diego Chargers. And then watching it yesterday that was kind of like the headline game, right? The Sunday late game is the headline game. It's a 43-year-old quarterback, 42-year-old quarterback, two Hall of Famers, maybe the greatest of all time. And it's not like Brady was scintillating. He just didn't turn the football over. And you look at Drew Brees in the second half yesterday, and, he struggled throwing the football. There's no velocity. There's no downfield throwing. There's no attacking down the field. Jay Glazer had the report before the game, and I was kind of surprised by the report because I thought it was kind of a foregone conclusion. This is it for Drew Brees. Yeah. I mean, he's going to go on and be a commentator on NBC. I mean, I thought that was signed, sealed, and delivered that this was the final year for Drew Brees. I didn't know it was up for debate or question or whether or not him to ponder, but I guess he is pondering it, but after watching him yesterday, I don't think Drew Brees can play anymore. I mean, that's it. I mean, and I think we all saw that yesterday as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers march on to the NFC title game. The championship Sunday, next Sunday, we got two great matchups, but yesterday, the headline event, Brees, and I don't know if that game is different if Jared Cook doesn't fumble. 20-13 game, third quarter. Third down conversion over the middle, going into Buccaneer territory around the 45-40-yard line. Ball gets punched away by the rookie defensive back Dante Winfield Jr., the former Minnesota Golden Gopher. Picked up by Devin Smith, returned deep into Saints territory. Buccaneers tied the game up at 20, and from that point forward, you felt like the Saints were kind of in quicksand and the Buccaneers were running downhill. That is the fumble that changed that game. I don't know where that game ends if Cook doesn't fumble that football, but for Brees in the fourth quarter, trying to rally that team, watching him throw the football was painful to watch.
I just don't understand, and this is where you get into the tricky part of having an aging quarterback who has been your stalwart and who has been almost bigger than the organization to a certain extent. How do you not bench him? I mean, honestly, I know they couldn't because this was the farewell, but seriously, you're going into the fourth quarter of that game, and I don't know how you saw Jameis Winston throw a 56-yard touchdown pass on a trick play. You're staring your season in the face. At that point, I mean, I know Sean Payton is a phenomenal coach. At that point, aren't you being paid to make that tough decision that you have to make a switch at quarterback? And you know what? If you live to see another day, you figure it out then, and you end up figuring out what you're going to do. The Saints have never really, they've been fast and loose using Taysom Hill, using other guys when they've needed to with Brees. Season on the line. Or if you didn't want to bench him even going into the fourth quarter, or at least put Winston for more trick plays or more different looks, after he throws the interception with 7 minutes left to go that was intended for Kamara, where they both were obviously not on the same page, that leads to obviously the Brady QB sneak touchdown. Now it's 30-20. How do you not put Winston in the game at that point to try to bring you back? Like, it's tough sometimes with these veteran QBs, and you want to send them out the right way, but the bottom line was you were sending them out if you kept him on the field. So I was really surprised we didn't see a little bit more of that, because Drew Brees unfortunately didn't get the perfect ending like Peyton Manning did, walking off into the sunset after winning a Super Bowl. So few guys do.
Yeah.
And if you're thinking about the team, how did you keep Brees out there? That to me was crazy. And then the other part, and this could be something we keep an eye on here, Moose, Michael Thomas. I know his contract is not awesome right now because he has a huge dead cap hit if they trade him this year, but you got the Jets and Giants both looking for wide receiver help, and this has just been a terrible year for Michael Thomas. He had 4 targets in that game yesterday, not a catch. I mean, come on. Maybe there's a possibility if he gets pried out of New Orleans that could end up being a turnaround reclamation project in one of these teams here in this city that needs a wide receiver.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, and I don't think there's been a drop off with Thomas. I just think there has been a significant drop off at quarterback. It's a fair take when you look at Winston. First and foremost, with the Winston touchdown pass on the trick play, how do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers not realize that a trick play is coming? And how do you leave the wide receiver wide open down the field with nobody within 15 yards of him for Winston to make that 56-yard touchdown pass? That made little to no sense for the Buccaneers defensively. I didn't think they would do that to Brees. You know, Maggie, I didn't think they'd take him out of the game. I didn't think they'd embarrass him. I thought Aikman made a really good point. In that when that is a 23-20 game after the Bucs take the lead, he said this has got to be an Alvin Kamara game the rest of the way. And unfortunately for the Saints, it didn't turn out to be the case. And you get the interception, then it's 30-20, clock ticking down under 5 minutes to go in regulation. Then you get the 4 turnover, and then you get the Buccaneers running out the clock, a couple kneel downs after a third down conversion, and the game was over. So I didn't think they'd do that to Brees. Final game down there in New Orleans. But it's a fair assessment where you look at how badly Brees was throwing the football. And honestly,
you're down
both
10
quarterbacks
points with 5 minutes to go.
Maggie, both quarterbacks looked old.
Interception again.
I mean, Maggie, both quarterbacks looked old. I didn't think Brady was particularly good either, and Drew Brees looked shot. I mean, that's it. I mean, we played the kind of the Frank Caliendo piece last week about Brees and Brady on the History Channel, the two oldest quarterbacks in NFL history, battling out in a divisional round playoff game, and both quarterbacks looked their age at times. They did. Brees more so than Brady, but I don't think Tom was particularly good. The defense was great. Devin Smith was fantastic for the Buccaneers, their linebacker, former LSU star, and as was Antoine Winfield Jr., their rookie safety, who I believe was a second-round draft choice. He played really, really well. Brady, when he needed to make a couple throws, made those throws. But, I mean, for Drew Brees, that is a difficult way to go out, but we get what we were wanting for, right? A lot of people were hoping for Brady and Rodgers in the NFC Championship game, and that's what you're going to get next Sunday out in Lambeau Field.
Well, listen, Brady, I mean, he is, I hate to use he is what he is at this point, because he actually has played well since the bye week, but could he be getting better field position off of these interceptions? I mean, if you're not going to be able to capitalize off of those types of turnovers, and Brady was clean. He didn't throw a pick in this game. So, of course, you're going to win a game like that when you have someone like Brady, who's doing it from the shoulders up at this point. And they got great field position. They were able to make the Saints pay. Okay, the Saints were also missing some pieces on the defensive side. They've been a great defense. You go into Lambeau, I mean, I think coming off this weekend, how do you say any team is playing better than the Green Bay Packers? I mean, I know maybe the Rams were obviously a diminished opponent because of Goff's thumb, because of Aaron Donald and other things, but, I mean, the Packers looked incredible. So, and they had everything going. They're running the ball down their throat. They're doing all the things. So, I mean, Brady, obviously, Gronk, Antonio Brown, all these guys can play in cold weather. That's not what I'd be worried about necessarily. I don't know about the other guys, but the defense has been very good for Tampa Bay. And now we get a matchup that we wanted, which is Brady going into Lambeau, which is exciting. And, it's rare, and it's probably the last 2 times these guys will face each other. And so phenomenal, but it's going to come down to who has the better defensive game plan.